Greetings. Today we are taking notes over Gothic literature. You should have the 3 pages of notes, fill in the blank notes. As you watch this video in PowerPoint, you should be able to pause, rewind, fast forward in order to fill in the notes. After you have finished the notes, put them in your notebook. This is for a grade. So let's move on our journey, shall we? History of Gothic literature. In the 1700s, 2 very different movements were created and embraced. The Enlightenment, which was an approach that emphasized reason, thought, and logic over tradition and religion. Humanity was seen as possessing all the powers necessary to make sense of the tangible world, or the world you can see and touch. Many of America's founding fathers were prominent writers of this movement. We also had the second part, which was Romanticism. It's a trend that was created to counteract the Enlightenment, which relied on feelings and emotions. Imaginative and fanciful writings took priority over science and facts. Gothic literature is a type of Romanticism, the dark side. So the history of Gothic literature starts us off with Horace Walpole's Castle of Otranto. It's published in 1765 and is considered the first Gothic novel. That was followed by Anne Radcliffe's book, The Italian, which was published in the 1790s and made her the most popular writer of her time. And then in 1818, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein introduced the theme of the dangers of science. It's also been called the first science fiction novel. In the early to mid-1800s, Edgar Allan Poe deepened the issue of psychological torment felt in many of his characters. The Bronte sisters introduced more dynamic heroines who take control rather than faint or play the archetypical damsel in distress role, such as in 1847's Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre. Dracula is an 1897 Gothic horror novel by Bram Stoker. It introduces Count Dracula and establishes many conventions of the vampire's fantasy. Though Gothic elements have evolved and changed, Gothic influence is easily recognized in many modern works, such as The Vampire Diaries, The Shining, Twilight, The Walking Dead, American Horror Story, and my personal favorite, Supernatural. What are some things you expect to find in scary stories? Ominous warnings, creepy music or environment, mystery, murder, empty buildings or location, curses, suspense, foreshadowing, an evil villain or madman. That would be one of the archetypes. Zombies, vampires, werewolves, ghosts. Fog, storms, rain. Corpses. Remote locations. Demons and spirits. The definition of Gothic literature is writing that employs dark scenery, unique narrative devices, and an overall atmosphere of suspense, mystery, and dread that result in high emotion. Elements of Gothic literature. The setting is a pivotal part of Gothic literature. It's usually dark and stormy weather sets the eerie and gloomy mood of the story. The weather is usually symbolic for something else, like the rain represents a character's sorrow. The environment. Oftentimes, the setting will be somewhere in isolation, incorporating decayed structures like crumbling castles, along with trapdoors, secret passageways, dungeons, etc. The second element of Gothic literature is the topic of insanity. Many characters are plagued by nervous breakdowns and guilt induced visions or hallucinations. Third element is the supernatural. Ghosts, vampires, monsters, giants, werewolves. The inclusion of these creatures help establish the possibilities that such things exist beyond human reasoning. Characters might feel a sense of powerlessness as they struggle to comprehend the unexplainable visions around them. Sometimes these visions and experiences are real, and in other stories, there ends up being a reasonable explanation for them. Think Scooby Doo. Regardless, writers use the supernatural to create uncertainty, which leads to suspense. Omens, curses, nightmares, dreams, and premonitions. These elements may foreshadow foreboding events and help build tension in the story. The damsel in distress. Women are often portrayed as this archetype. Sometimes they are oppressed and isolated from the rest of society by a tyrannical male. An unreliable narrator. A reliable narrator is aware of events taking place and conveys them to the reader in a trustworthy and truthful way. An unreliable narrator does not convey events truthfully because of their unstable mental state, deceitfulness, or immaturity. They seem out of touch and express outrageous ideas. Therefore, the reader cannot trust them to relay events accurately. Terror, horror, and mystery. Terror is usually described as a feeling of dread and anticipation that precedes or comes before the horrifying experience. By contrast, horror is the feeling of revulsion that usually occurs after something frightening is seen, heard, or otherwise experienced. So you can watch the following movie trailers and look for examples of Gothic elements used in each one. So you have the Prestige, and you just click here on the video. And it will start playing. And here we have Shutter Island. Just click play. And then There Were None. Click play. The Phantom of the Opera. And click play. Beauty and the Beast. Click play. And Supernatural. Enjoy.